Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Hot Girls Eat Carbs. I'm your host, Brittany McChrystal, and this is your safe space for all things wellness, self-love, and sustainable weight loss. I am so happy you're here. Genuinely, whether you're on your morning walk, cooking dinner, driving to work, or maybe even just lying out in your bed trying to find a little bit of motivation today. I'm really glad we get to hang out for a bit. And I wanted today's episode to feel like a little warm check-in. You know those chats you have with a friend when you're like, I don't even need advice right now. I just need someone to remind me that I'm not crazy for feeling this way. Yep, that is what this episode is all about today. Because if you've been in that space lately where you feel like you've fallen off, or you're frustrated that old habits keep creeping back, or you just feel like you're not doing enough, I see you. I want you to know that you're not alone and you're not going backwards. Honestly, I've been having a lot of these conversations with my clients lately, and it's all about that guilt that comes up when you're not tracking perfectly, when your week feels messy, and when you're not hitting everything on your plan, and you've just got that feeling of, ugh, why do I keep doing this and why can I not stick with it? And it reminded me of something one of my clients said to me last week. And we're going to talk about her story today because it's such a beautiful example of what real progress actually looks like. But before we get into that, I just want to say this. If you're listening to this and you're trying, like really trying to do things differently, even if it doesn't feel like enough, you're already making progress. This journey isn't about flipping a switch. It's about slowly breaking patterns you've had for years. It's about learning how to show up for yourself in a new way. And it takes more strength than anybody gives us credit for. So today's episode is going to be about that. We're going to be talking about why breaking habits is hard and how to actually start doing it, what progress really looks like, and spoiler alert, it's actually not perfection, how to finally ditch the all or nothing mindset, and a pep talk for the girls who are still showing up even when things aren't perfect. Because you don't need to be doing more. You just need to keep going. And I promise you, the future you is going to be so glad that you did. So let's get into it. Now, I want to start today's episode with a little story about one of my beautiful clients, Mandy. She messaged me earlier in the week and said, "It's been a really hard week. I wasn't on track with my meals or workouts because life's gotten in the way, but I didn't go off the rails. I stuck to 80-20. I didn't track everything or hit every workout, but I kept it together and I didn't spiral. And I guess I'm proud of that." And I had to pause. I really sat with that message because that right there, that is actually what real progress looks like. It's not in the perfect weeks. It's not in the scale dropping or the meal prep being flawless or the workouts being nailed. It's actually in the in-between. It's in those moments where you would have previously spiraled, but this time you didn't. It's in the choice to stay grounded, even when life is messy and overwhelming and not all of what you planned. The old Mandy, she would have let one off-plan meal turn into a whole weekend. She would have said, screw it. I've already ruined it. I'm just going to start again on Monday. She would have thrown in the towel or maybe even used that as proof that she always falls off or she's just not good at this. But this time, she didn't. She chose differently. She didn't let that one imperfect moment define the whole week. She honored where she was. She showed herself grace, and she kept going. And do you know how powerful that is? This is the stuff that actually transforms your life. Not the crash diets or the perfectly tracked meals or the all or nothing hustle. It's in the quiet choices, the one that no one sees, the ones where you pause and say, you know what? I'm still in this. I'm not quitting. That is growth. And if you're listening to this and you've had a messy week, or you haven't hit your steps, or you ate out more than you planned, I just want you to breathe. It does not mean that you have failed. It does not mean that you're back at square one. It just means that you are human. Because progress is not a straight line. It's not all motivation and meal plans and hitting PBs in the gym. Sometimes it's just not giving up on yourself, especially when it would have been so easy to do so. And here's what I really want you to take away from this. You don't have to be perfect to make progress. You don't have to tick every box to change your life. You just have to keep showing up in the moments where you used to check out. Mandy's progress this week wasn't about weight loss or calories tracked. It's about a pattern she used to live in, a loop of guilt and self-sabotage that she broke. And that is what we are here for. We are not chasing perfection. We are breaking cycles and we're learning how to live differently. And every time you choose to respond differently, when you pause instead of spiral, when you show up instead of quit, you're building a stronger version of you. A version that doesn't just chase goals, but lives in alignment with the kind of life she actually wants to live. So if that is where you are right now, I want you to know you're not behind. You are not failing. You are growing. And growth is messy sometimes. So be proud of your messy middle. Be proud of your bounce back. And be proud that you didn't give up, because that is what real progress looks like. But let's talk about why you keep going back to old habits, even when we all know better, because we have all been there. You've read the books, you've listened to the podcasts, you know what to do, but somehow you still find yourself back in the same cycle, mindlessly scrolling, skipping the gym, emotional eating, snoozing through your morning routine and saying, I'll start again on Monday. And it's so easy in those moments to think, what is wrong with me? I know better. Why can't I just stick to it? But let me say this with love, girl. It's not because you're lazy, and it's not because you're weak, and it's definitely not because you don't want it badly enough. It's because your old habits are familiar. They're safe, comfortable, easy. Even if they're not helpful or aligned with who you want to be, they're what your brain knows. And your brain is wired for efficiency, not excellence. It will always default to what feels easiest, especially when you're tired, overwhelmed, or emotionally drained. So when you've had a long day and you haven't prepped dinner and you're staring into your fridge feeling done with the world, that, I'll just order something and I'll be good tomorrow voice. That's not you failing. That is your brain falling back on a well-worn path. But the good thing is, every time you pause in a moment and make a different choice, even just once, you're breaking that pattern. You're teaching your brain a new way. You're literally rewiring yourself for a different future. I want to talk about when I was in my all or nothing era, and I was deep in it. And if you've ever lived there, you know what I mean. It's that mindset where one off meal meant the whole day was ruined, where a missed workout didn't just feel like a slip up, it felt like failure. And where I truly believed that if I wasn't doing everything perfectly, it wasn't even worth trying. I'd eat something bad and I'll immediately spiral. Like, well, I've already ruined it and I may as well go all in and continue to spiral. Or one skip gym session turned into 5 skip sessions. A weekend with few too many drinks meant I'd write off the entire week, and then I'd beat myself up over it, over and over again. I thought that discipline meant punishment, that being hard on myself was the only way to stay on track. It was exhausting and really, really lonely. And underneath all of that was this constant voice saying, why can't you stick to it? And I was miserable, and I felt like I was forever tearing myself down. But here's the thing that I finally learned, and it changed everything. Consistency isn't built in the perfect weeks. It's built in the gray areas. The messy, unpredictable, not according to plan days. The moments where you make a small choice that is better, but not perfect. Like choosing to walk over doing nothing. Or ordering a burger and not spiraling into guilt afterwards. Or saying, okay, today wasn't great, but I'm still showing up for myself tomorrow. Those little moments, that is when the shift started to happen. It wasn't when I figured out the perfect routine or meal plan. It wasn't when I pushed myself harder. It was when I softened. When I stopped throwing everything away just because it wasn't perfect. And let me tell you, I had to unlearn so much. I had to unlearn the belief that one bad day erased all of my progress. I had to stop thinking that motivation was the only thing to keep me going. And I had to learn that discipline isn't about punishment, it's about compassion. It's about taking care of yourself even when it's inconvenient. It's about not quitting on yourself just because it got hard. It's about choosing you again, and again. And maybe you're in that era right now. Maybe you're waking up and you feel like you've already messed up. And maybe you're tempted to hit the reset button again. Or maybe you're just stuck in that loop of, I'll start again on Monday. But Monday never really sticks. I want you to remember this. You don't need to be perfect to make progress. You don't have to earn rest or punish yourself for being human. The magic happens in the moments where you don't give up, even when it would be so easy to do so. So if this feels like you, I want you to take a breath. You're not broken and you're not behind. You're just in the gray area. And that is where real growth lives. So show up for yourself today, even just a little. Not because you have to be perfect, but because you are worthy of showing up for yourself even when it's messy. And that is exactly what got me out of my all or nothing era. Not more pressure, not more guilt, just a little bit more grace. When I finally realized that balance was key, I was coming off one of those perfect weeks. You know, the ones where you hit every macro down to the gram, you hit every workout on plan, drank the water, took the steps, ate all the high protein clean meals, like I was on it. And then Friday night rolled around. I went out with one of my friends. We had wine, we laughed, we shared burgers and fries. And for a moment, I felt so free. But then almost immediately after, that old voice crept in. Well, that's it. You've ruined it. You may as well enjoy the weekend and start again on Monday. That all or nothing thinking I knew so well came rushing back so fast. Like somehow one fun meal canceled out my entire week of effort. Like I wasn't allowed to enjoy my life and still see results. But then something in me paused. And I remember sitting there, kind of stunned, like, why am I acting like my whole week didn't just count because I had one meal that wasn't perfect? And why am I living in a way where enjoying food or having a moment of connection means failure? And it was so funny because that night, something shifted. Because for the first time, I didn't spiral. I didn't say, screw it. I didn't binge for the rest of the weekend. I didn't wake up on Saturday and try to punish myself with an hour of cardio. And I didn't skip meals to make up for it. I just picked up exactly where I left off. No guilt, no extremes, just balance. And do you know what happened? I still made progress that week. Like actual measurable progress. Not because I was perfect, but because I stayed consistent. Because I stopped letting one moment define my whole week. Balance isn't what slows you down. It's what keeps you going. Because the truth is, you're not living in a bubble. You're gonna have birthdays, girls' night, brunches, holidays. You're gonna have moments where you choose joy, where you're not tracking every bite or counting every step. And when you don't have balance, those moments feel like failures. But when you do, they become part of the lifestyle that you're building. You stop seeing food as something you earn or burn off. You stop punishing yourself for being human. And you stop quitting just because you weren't perfect. Balance lets you live and still make progress. This whole journey, it's not about getting it right every single day. It's about showing up most of the time over a long period of time. It's about learning how to enjoy your life and reach your goals. It's not about having to choose between being on track and being happy. And I used to think that balance was weak. I used to think that it meant I wasn't trying hard enough. And that if I really wanted it, I wouldn't need rest days or date nights or treats. But balance is what makes it sustainable. It's what allows you to be consistent without burning out. It's what helps you come back again and again instead of constantly starting over. It's what turns a temporary diet into a lifelong lifestyle. And if your plan doesn't allow for life to happen, it's not a plan, it's prison. And you don't need another set of rules to follow. You need flexibility, compassion, and structure that supports you, not restricts you. So if you're in that place where you feel like you messed up because you had 2 glasses of wine or ate dessert or skipped a workout, I want you to pause, take a breath, because you didn't fail, you didn't ruin anything. You're just learning how to live in the middle. And babe, the middle is where the magic happens. Because progress isn't about being perfect. It's not about giving up when you're not. It's about building a life that works for you, one that includes fun, food, connection, and freedom without guilt. Let's talk about what to do when you feel like you've slipped. Let's make this super practical because we've all had those days. The ones when you feel like you've completely fallen off. So maybe you overate, maybe you skipped your workout, or you just felt out of alignment today. And maybe you're already thinking, I ruined everything, I may as well start again on Monday. But pause. Breathe. You're okay. Here's what to do when you're in that space. I want you to name it. Don't shame it. The most powerful thing you can do is get honest with yourself without the guilt. Say it out loud or write it down. I overate today. I didn't move my body today. I felt anxious and disconnected. Then follow up with, and that is okay. I'm not a failure. I am human. Naming the moment takes away the power. Shame thrives in secrecy. But when you shine a light on it, it starts to fade. Do one small grounding action. You don't need to overhaul your day. Just take one gentle step towards feeling more like you. Drink a big glass of water. Take 5 or 10 minutes just to walk outside. Eat a balanced, nourishing meal without overthinking it, and take a shower, put some fresh clothes on, light a candle. These aren't about fixing the day. They're about reconnecting with yourself. It's the tiniest actions that start the biggest shifts. I want you to zoom out. Zoom way out. If you're working towards a 6, 12, or a lifelong goal, ask yourself, will this one day matter in the big picture? And the answer? Almost always, no. Your progress isn't erased by one rough moment. You're not back at square one, so don't throw away your whole journey over one imperfect day. It's just a bump, not a breakdown. Reflect, don't punish. Instead of spiraling, get curious. Ask, what triggered this? Was I overwhelmed? Lonely? Tired? Bored? Was I trying to be too perfect this week? Awareness is what helps you grow. Not guilt, not restriction, and not punishment. When you can reflect with kindness, you break the pattern. You learn. And then you move forward with more compassion and clarity. So let's get practical. 6 ways to break old habits and build new ones. Habits shape your reality, but changing them takes intentions, not willpower, not perfection, just conscious, consistent effort. Here are 6 ways to start shifting from the old you to the version of you that aligns with the life you actually want to live. Pause and reflect before reacting. When something throws you off, your routine, your mindset, your food choices, pause before going into autopilot. Ask yourself, what would the version of me I'm becoming do right now? Maybe she doesn't go back to tracking perfectly. Maybe she just takes a deep breath, drinks some water, and keeps going. That pause, it's a pattern breaker, and pattern breakers build new habits. Focus on better, not perfect. Didn't hit your macros? Can you still hit your protein goal? Didn't train like you had planned? Can you do a quick 15 to 20 minute walk? Woke up late? Can you take 3 minutes to breathe and set an intention? Better, not perfect, is when transformation actually happens. Celebrate the in-between moments, the quiet moments when you could have quit but didn't. Those are everything. The mornings when you didn't want to get out of bed but you still showed up. The meals that you didn't track but made a more balanced choice. The days you felt off but didn't spiral. Those little wins matter. That's you becoming the kind of woman who keeps going. Don't start over. Adjust. One bad meal, one off day, one missed workout doesn't mean you have to start from scratch. There's no reset button. You just keep going from where you are. Momentum comes from continuation, not perfection. You didn't fail, you just had a moment. Adjust and move forward. I want you to surround yourself with reminders. You don't always need more motivation, you need reminders. Put sticky notes on your mirror. Keep a screensaver that reflects your goals. I have my vision board as my screensaver on my phone. I used Canva and I found photos from Pinterest that really inspired me that I wanted to work towards this year. And then I made a little collage and it's my screensaver. So every single day I am reminded of my goals. Follow people who make you feel grounded, inspired, and safe in your journey. I want you to go through and I want you to remove all of the toxic accounts that you follow that don't make you feel worthy. Keep a list in your phone. Here's why I'm doing this. Create an environment that nudges you gently back into alignment. Track emotional progress. It's easy to only measure things like calories, weight, or reps, but the real growth is often felt, not seen. So ask yourself, did I handle the situation better than I used to? Did I speak to myself with more compassion today? Did I pause before falling into an old pattern? That's transformation. That's healing. And that's you becoming the version of yourself you've been working towards. So if you're still listening right now, I want you to hear this. You are becoming the version of you that doesn't give up. The one who eats pasta and still feels amazing. The one who works out because she wants to, not because she has to. The one who can bounce back from a messy day without guilt. You're not failing, you're evolving. And it might be slow, but trust me, it's happening. And the next time you catch yourself thinking, ugh, I stuffed up, I failed, I'll start again on Monday, I want you to stop. And instead, ask yourself, how can I show up for myself right now in the middle of this mess? That's what matters. That is where the magic happens. You're not supposed to be perfect. You are supposed to keep going. And I promise, future you is already looking back at the version of you with so much gratitude. And she's saying, thank you for not giving up on me. You've got this, and I've got you. So if this episode landed for you, please send it to a friend who needs to hear it. And if you haven't done so, please give the show a rating, as I'm a new podcast and your ratings help more than you know so I can reach new audiences. And if you're ready to break the cycle and ditch the all or nothing mindset and actually feel good in your body while still living your life, I have some one-on-one coaching spots open and I would love to help you. Whether you're craving more balance, structure, or just someone in your corner, you don't have to do this alone. Just message me on Instagram and let's chat about where you're at and how I can help. And thank you so much for listening again. I appreciate you and I will see you in the next episode.